working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now. Because your business matters.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the #1 live talk business radio show in North Carolina. We are coming to you live from our unofficial Burner Cigar studio, where we hope to inspire, inform, and entertain you every Monday afternoon, because that's what we do here at WSIC. I am Joe Vagnone, and you are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. We have interviewed over 1,000 small business owners and community leaders over the years. We have well over 866 videos on our YouTube channel. Please go to Joe Vagnone Business Broker on YouTube, Joe Vagnone Business Broker, and subscribe. We would appreciate that. We are live on the book, live on the tubes, live on the X, live on the chain, and we are anywhere you get your podcast. We will be happy to take your questions on the book, where my loyal leader, Julie, is monitoring the show and correcting our mistakes as they happen in real time. Which means, if you don't already know, everybody needs a Julie. You are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. Okay, let's just dig in. Local Biz Now is proud to welcome Michael Clegg, CEO and founder of Q Works, a respected leader with a proven track record in business leadership, executive development, career growth, and organizational transformation. Michael has built his reputation by helping professionals and companies navigate change, strengthen leadership, and create results that last. We hand-selected Michael as one of our special hosts because he brings more than just experience. He brings insight, credibility, energy, and a real understanding of what business owners and leaders are facing today. He has a gift for asking the right question, connecting with people, turning real-world business challenges into practical, high-value conversations. Whether the topic is leadership, career development, workplace culture, or building stronger organizations, Michael consistently delivers perspective that is sharp, relevant, and engaging. That's why he stands out as one of our favorite special hosts. Michael Clegg, welcome back to Local Biz Now, buddy. The show's all yours. Take it from here.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. And welcome everybody who's out there listening today. And it is a Monday afternoon, a preview of about a weather scenario that is going to be extremely, extremely hot here in the Carolinas. So I don't know if you know that, Mike. And by the way, the mic I'm referring to is Mr. Michael Mooney.
I'm right here, not the mic you're speaking into, Michael Clegg.
That's correct. We got a lot of mics in this room today. But I do want to start by thanking Kayla, thanking Joe. Everyone absolutely needs a Julie, no doubt about it.
No
Julie,
question.
thank you. Look forward to seeing your updates on Facebook. And then also Seth. And Seth, I got your name right. Seth is helping us in the studio today. So hello to everybody. And once again, June has been about leadership and everything leadership related. And today is going to be no different. What we are going to talk about today is a little bit more into that gap, right? Where how leaders think they show up versus how they actually land and how others actually experience them. And in racing, I would imagine everything starts with the driver, right? And for those that haven't followed us the last few weeks, Mike's background is in motorsports, which is super cool, especially here in the Charlotte area. And is that accurate to say that everything starts with the driver or the rider?
Yes, no, and in between. To be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
So over the last 25 plus years, for those folks who are just joining in and hearing that my background's been in motorsports, NASCAR, IndyCar, some F1 work as well on the corporate side. I was quick to say that these hands never did anything to turn a car left, right, or turn wrenches that made the car go faster. I worked more on the I call green fuel of making sure that the sponsorship dollars were there for the teams and helping on crisis management management, leadership development, but having the access to work around these championship level drivers and teams. I can tell you that it's an interesting point you make, and people do think oftentimes, it is the drivers because they're the ones that people see on race day, right? Yep. But the reality is that more often than not, it's truly the driver is working with the product, the car that a team has built. Yeah. So there is a team back in the shop that is building, refining, innovating these vehicles for them to be ready on race day. So while they are expected to be able to drive what's put underneath them, it truly, I believe a lot of the start comes from what the shop delivers first and foremost. Yeah. Because what is delivered from the shop to the racetrack, what they call coming off the gate, the speed off the lift gate, is what the team has to work with at the track.
Yeah, so think about that too from a perspective of, oftentimes in business setting we talk about teams, but in reality, we don't operate like teams. So to your point, and I do say everything starts with leaders. Yeah. In your world, it just depends on what the role is, right? Because there are so many things that have to happen in order to put together that product, i.e. the car. Right. So there first off, it's easy to measure in a sports landscape. There's always a score. There are winners and losers, right? That just happens. And typically we get some semblance of an off season to recalibrate or reset. In business, we don't get that. Wow. Right? As an example, tomorrow is the last day of Q2.
Right.
I don't get a halftime. Right.
Well, no, you don't. But here's the other interesting part, though. If you look at racing specifically, and you talk about the hierarchy of responsibility and leadership, you do have a crew chief who's ultimately responsible for what's happening with that vehicle to get it from the transporter onto the track and get it to where the driver can do the best they can with the equipment that they have underneath them. So that is their responsibility. You have competition directors in there as well that are responsible for different aspects of the car being built. Now, to your point, though, about results, they get results every lap.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing. In business, leaders may have a problem or an issue that comes up, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, give me a couple weeks, give me some time." Crew chiefs are expected to fix that in real time, like in a couple of laps, just figure out what the issue is, assess it, next pit stop, come in and try something, get it back out, see did it work or not. Yeah. And then between that, you have race to race to race. I mean, these teams are often going from February to November. You get 3 or 4 weekends off. So leaders are expected to be making changes, enhancements, improvements based on the data coming in just about in real time.
Yeah, so I would say that's likely not dissimilar to leaders in the workforce in the business setting, reviewing KPIs weekly.
Well, you're reviewing them. I'd say that, again, the only difference is when you're reviewing the KPI in business, you're not expected to have it figured out in the next 20 minutes.
So as the next 45 minutes are going to get figured out here, we're going to talk through all of this, everything leadership and that gap. So we'll be back.
12 years strong, Joe Vagnone is still delivering the conversations that count. More Local Biz Now after the break, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, we are kicking off the week of the 4th with some pretty seasonable heat. Temperatures up around 90, just a low chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm for our Monday. Get ready, we are going to build up some big-time, even dangerous heat by the middle of the week. Temperatures soar up to around 100, maybe some low 100s. And you factor in the humidity, it'll be hotter feeling than that. Stay safe, stay cool. That's your forecast for the surf, pickleball, and kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Dreaming of a new home or a better rate? At O'Brien Home Loans, our team of independent brokers find tailored solutions that truly fit your life. Proudly serving North Carolina with honest advice and local heart. Visit O'BrienHomeLoans.com today for a free quote.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. In Huntersville, head to Birkdale Village on July 4th for patriotic fun, family activities, entertainment, and community festivities throughout the day. It's the perfect way to celebrate before heading out for an evening of fireworks. In Davidson, one of the area's favorite traditions returns with the annual Patriotic Stroll. Decorate your bikes, wagons, and strollers and join neighbors and friends as downtown Davidson fills with American spirit. Then stick around for a concert on the green on the Village Green. featuring Buffett and Beyond, a Jimmy Buffett tribute band providing the soundtrack for your Independence Day celebration. Mooresville kicks things off a day early on July 3rd with the Field of Flags Summer Celebration at the Lowe's YMCA. Enjoy live music, food trucks, family activities, and hundreds of American flags honoring those who have served our country before one of the region's largest fireworks displays lights up the night sky. And for those spending the holiday on Lake Norman, popular viewing spots like Cocktail Cove offer spectacular views of fireworks reflecting across the water. In Troutman, the annual Independence Day Parade brings classic small-town Americana to life on July 4th. Expect classic cars, local organizations, marching groups, and plenty of patriotic pride as the community comes together to celebrate. And in Statesville, the annual fireworks celebration returns on July 3rd beginning at 9:30 p.m. Families can enjoy the show from several viewing locations, including Signal Hill Mall, the former Bi-Lo parking lot, Statesville Park and Soccer Complex, and the King of the Sea parking lot. Whether you're watching fireworks, attending a parade, strolling through downtown, or celebrating with family and friends, Lake Norman is the perfect place to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Happy Independence Day from all of us at WSIC. For more local events and community happenings, visit liveworkplaylkn.com. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
12 years of conversations, thousands of insights, and one truth: your business matters. This is Local Biz Now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
And welcome back to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. Michael Clegg is with us as our special host. And right about now, you're starting to see why he is so special and hand-selected by our WSIC team. Michael is CEO and founder of QWorks, a respected business leader, coach, and strategist who brings real-world insight, sharp leadership perspective, and big value to every conversation. Michael is my friend, whether he will admit it or not. So take it away, Michael. The show's all yours, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Joe. As usual, we appreciate it. Welcome back, everybody. I am Michael Clegg. I'm here with my partner in crime here, Michael Mooney.
How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
I have, we kind of kicked off with the idea of the leadership gap and talking through some of those things, and everything starts with leaders. And with your background in motorsports, I made the assumption everything starts with the driver. Well, and you said, well, that's the face.
That's right.
And I think, as I think through this during break, and we started talking about some other items that we're going to talk about this segment, like presence and showing up, is the whole premise of why the gap is important. Really dives into the point of this self-awareness bucket. And once again, I will repeat this stat because it is worth repeating.
If you haven't been listening, you will hear it again.
95% of leaders believe that they're self-aware, and unfortunately, only 10 to 15% actually are. And the reason for that is people are confusing internal self-awareness with external self-awareness. Most leaders have had a level of success to get to where they are, right? So it's safe to say that they are introspective, reflective, all of those wonderful things. But where they fall short, many of us, is that we don't know how we land with other people. We don't know how others are experiencing them, us.
That's right.
To themselves. And so that is that gap. It's the gap between who we think we are and how others experience us. And the only way to get that gap closed is by getting very direct feedback. And another Cleggism, if you will, is I say proximity, nothing replaces proximity.
Yeah.
And so we talk about leadership presence and what some like to call executive presence. When I grew up, executive presence was charisma. It was the smartest guy or gal in the room. It was really that whole package. Yeah. But
it's that it factor in a way, right? I can't quite tell you what it is, but when they're here, it's either it's good or the presence could be wah wah.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's what are they saying before you walk in the room? And then what are they saying as you've left the room?
Right.
and we got into that a little bit last week for those that haven't caught the show. I believe it'll be up on YouTube if it's not up quite yet, but usually it's up, I think, a week to 10 days after the show. So, or even sooner, I'm getting the nod. So definitely check that out, because we do talk about image and exposure and how important that is. But going back to the proximity and the presence, you said you see presence a little differently than I do. Describe what you mean as far as presence, and we'll see how much we align or not.
No, absolutely. And I would say that it's not either or.
Yep.
It's and.
Yep.
And I believe it
Great
also
distinction.
depends on the use and where it's going to be of most benefit to the leader. Because when you said before, what leaders need to hear and need to get is that direct feedback.
Yep.
Yes. And they also need to be willing to receive it and
Oh,
understand how they can then put it into play. I go back to my old days playing baseball. That's just being coachable.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get to a level of leadership and title and commas in your paycheck or whatever, where they start to, I don't think I need to be coachable because it got me here.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about presence before, there is a presence in how you hold yourself and how people receive you when you're in a room. I look at presence through a parallel lens, which is truly about being present in the moment.
That's right.
Are you here with me? How often do you have these moments? And for those of you who are maybe just listening on radio, I'm imitating the old bobblehead. Do you remember the bobblehead? You tap the head and just up and down and yes, yes, yes. How often are you in a meeting with a leader and they're giving you the bobblehead and you know as you're talking to them, they ain't here.
No.
They're somewhere else. So what I'm talking about here is the power of presence, of being in the now and not being distracted by the next.
Love that. And I don't think I think we're arguing the and to your point, which I thought that was a great distinction.
We're not arguing. Let's not argue.
Well, we can.
I don't want to, man.
I love this.
I don't want to. Is that going to help ratings?
Yes,
All right,
I think
Joe,
so.
we're going into argue mode.
Yeah, we're gonna arm wrestle. But the whole point of why I say nothing replaces proximity is because you must be present to win. You have to have a responsibility. You have to be able to show, right, that all of those things that we talk about presence. One, we know that in communication, it's not just the words we say.
Correct.
Tone and body language play a big part into how we show up.
Yes.
I also, when I am coaching, when I'm working with organizations, I always ask to sit in their staff meetings. And I do that for a reason, because if I just sit in one, I'm going to get them on their best behavior. And all the things that I've taught them, they're going to do extremely well. It becomes the point of when I sit in it continuously, because I want to see how they show up in the room. I want to see what their presence truly is. Do they speak up? Is it very directive based, or are they asking a lot of questions?
Yeah.
And what I've found in most cases, very few leaders are asking questions. Some of it, well, the excuse I get most of the time is, well, we're short on time. I'm trying to get to the point.
I got to streamline this.
That's right. And that defeats the purpose of, because when you carry authority through title or things that you've done previously, when you have that level of authority, people will naturally defer to that person. If that person's the one that's always speaking up first or always giving the directives, what is that doing to the rest of the room?
Well, there's no opportunity to grow. There's no opportunity.
They're shutting it down.
Right. There's nothing there other than, I'll take your order, sir, ma'am.
That's right.
What
No,
would you like?
It goes back to your bobblehead analogy, and you're gonna suffer from groupthink, where everyone is doing the same thing because that's what they think it's supposed to be,
or they've been trained. I think in the distinction and there's a thought.
Yes.
They may not agree with the thought, but over time they'll be trained to a certain behavior, which is I call it learned helplessness, right? Where they know they can just take it so far, then hand it off to the big cheese, and they'll tell us where we got to go. So that's fine with me. That's what I'm going to do.
It's why in my coaching practice, it is about behaviors. Because behaviors over a period of repetition become the habits.
That's right.
And what you just said were the habit. What I heard you is the habit.
Yeah.
People have been trained to create that habit.
And if you want to take it the next step further, the habits that we as teams and leaders accept become the standard.
Yes. Yes.
Think
yes,
about
yes.
that. Those
I do.
habits that are reinforced in culture.
Yep.
Because they aren't exposed, they aren't addressed, they aren't even if it's the leader saying, "Hey, this is on me. I've allowed this to happen."
Yep. Well,
we can't have it anymore.
but I would love to see how many leaders actually would say that.
Oh, I
usually
agree.
Usually when I get brought in, it's because a leader has finally said, "I throw up my hands. I can't do this. Like something's missing. I'm not getting the things that I want." And it's why so many, you see the data, and I forget what it is, but it's something between 70 and 80% of founder-led businesses ultimately fail because they're the bottleneck.
So I was going to ask you that question. So when they call you and say, "Clegg, we need help. Come in here. I'm not getting the things that I need. I'm not getting the team that they're not doing what has to get done." How many times are you walking in after you do your assessment, after you do your work with them, and you go, I have part of the solution right here. Let me get it out of my briefcase," and you pull the mirror up and you go, "So can we talk about this?"
Yeah.
Like, how often does that happen in your world?
Every single time, because everything starts with the leader.
Yeah.
Really, truly. And that doesn't mean that it's a utter failure or that there aren't more things in play. It's usually not just one thing, as you know.
It's dynamic.
Right?
Yeah.
Very similar back to the first segment in your analogy in the motorsports. You've got multiple steps in the process that all collectively come together to feature the driver, which is driving the product that everyone's working on. It's no different in business. And I think that when organizations figure out that, and by the way, most don't do leadership development. I think it's less than 30% of companies actually have a formal leadership development process, which is frightening.
Which is frightening.
It absolutely is frightening. But the organizations that figure it out and go, "Okay, all right, I've exhausted all of this, whatever this is, I need help." Those are the organizations that usually have the leader that will say, "I need to make that. I need to make a change. I need to make that adjustment." And it always starts with a self-assessment of those guys.
Yeah, which is smart, because I have to imagine there's some part of your conversation when you first start, which is, "Leader, I know you've hired me to come in. You're writing the check on this. You're endorsing this. You're sponsoring this program. This literally may be something that you're going to have to work on yourself too.
Yeah.
And I need you to be open to that."
Absolutely. Well, in fact, today has been a very good day business-wise. What I had to say this earlier was, I'm going to give you information that you're not going to like. Are you prepared and committed to making those decisions? I'm not going to tell you the decision. I'm just going to give you things that I know today you're not going to like to hear.
Yeah.
And when those leaders do commit to that, magic can happen, because when everything starts with the leaders, it rolls down to creating those behaviors that drive the habits that ultimately lead to the outcomes, which become the new standard. So when we come back, I'm loving this conversation. We're gonna dive deep into this gap and how presence shows up on a day-to-day basis with these people.
Right on.
12 years strong, Joe Vagnone is still delivering the conversations that count. More Local Biz Now after the break, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, we are kicking off the week of the 4th with some pretty seasonable heat. Temperatures up around 90, just a low chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm for our Monday. Get ready, we are going to build up some big-time, even dangerous heat. By the middle of the week, temperatures soar up to around 100, maybe some low 100s. And you factor in the humidity, it'll be hotter feeling than that. Stay safe, stay cool. That's your forecast for the surf, pickleball, and kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
The weather's warm and your backyard is calling. G&B Energy makes it easy to bring people together with premium grills, cozy fire features, and clean, efficient propane to make your outdoor season sizzle. G&B Energy features grills by Big Green Egg, Napoleon, and Wilmington, plus reliable expert service. Swing by on Tuesdays and get your grill tank filled for only $10. You heard right, $10 Tuesdays at any G&B Energy location. Visit gbenergy.com for details.
When cancer changes everything, hope still matters. Cancer thriver Charlisa Harriet, also known as Coach C, the crushing chemo chick, creates faith-filled resources that comfort and uplift, including books, journals, planners, and greeting cards. Find encouragement created from lived experience at crushingchemochick.com and be sure to catch her show, The Healed Exchange with Coach C, Wednesdays from 11 to noon, right here on WSIC.
Your marriage feels stuck. Communication is strained, trust is fragile, and counseling hasn't gone deep enough. The Kohler Group offers 5-day marriage intensives, focused, faith-based, and guided by licensed therapists. No distractions, no surface-level work, just intentional care rooted in biblical truth. These intensives are self-pay and designed for real transformation. Restore what matters most. Call or text 252-758-8636 today. With God, all things are possible.
If you need home medical equipment, call Lowry Drug in Statesville. We have everything you need in stock, including portable oxygen concentrators, CPAPs, masks, lift chairs, wheelchairs, scooters, hospital beds, supplies, and anything else you need. Get it when you need it. Check out LowryDrug.com or call 704-873-2247. Lowry Drug, your hometown source since 1959, across from Iredell Memorial Hospital. We are worth the drive. Come see us.
Don't miss a thing. Download the WSIC News app today. WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. We're seeing gains for stocks, especially tech, as buyers jump back in. Comcast among the gainers. Onward, the company, originally a cable TV company, planning to part ways with properties it's acquired by spinning off a new company for Universal Film and Television, NBC, Bravo Cable, Peacock Streaming, Sky, Universal Theme Parks, and others. Comcast will function as a cable TV, broadband, and wireless business. Uber winding down its robotaxi offering with Alphabet's Waymo in Phoenix, where Waymo first offered paid passenger rides on its own ride-hailing app in 2020. And get ready for more and better targeted ads. AI overhauling the world of Mad Men. Dow Jones says at the ad industry's annual gathering in Cannes, France right now, Madison Avenue's embrace of AI is on full display with companies including Hershey and Rocket Mortgage saying AI has cut the time it takes to produce quality ads from weeks to just hours. And tech firms are touting exponential improvement in online ad targeting. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
12 years of conversations, thousands of insights, and one truth: your business matters. This is Local Biz Now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Yeah, you are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. We're so glad to have Michael Clegg back on Local Biz Now, the CEO and founder of QWorks, known for his leadership experience, career impact, and ability to turn business challenges into practical solutions. Right about now, you're starting to see why I have such a respect for my buddy, Michael. Michael teaches leaders to be the reason people stay. Think about that. Michael teaches leaders to be the reason people stay. Michael, the show's all yours, buddy. Take it away.
Thank you, Joe. I love that part, by the way.
The intro, it's a very nice intro.
The why people stay.
Oh, that's who. I thought you meant Joe Vagnone.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a given.
Okay, but yes, why people stay.
Yeah,
because oftentimes you hear in leadership, it's like, why did they go?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? And I think the stats show that the reason people go isn't because of the work, isn't because of their co-workers, it's because of poor leadership.
Yes.
And I'm sure you got a statistic on that. However, I'm not going to put you on the spot to remember that.
Money is typically number 3.
Okay.
On the list of why people leave or why people stay.
Yeah.
And that's why I really truly encourage organizations to stop focusing so much time on exit interviews, focus on stay interviews. And if you don't know what a stay interview is, please find me on LinkedIn, Michael B. Clegg on LinkedIn, because I would say that the stay interviews are the single most important meeting that any leader can do ever.
I agree. Now, let me ask you this from a structural standpoint. I'm getting the weeds in this on your business. Do you suggest to have a stay interview along with a mid-year review, or have these as separate conversations so that they are what they are intended to be,
Great
versus
question.
like muddying the water with
Very
hey,
separate.
yeah, that's what I would think.
First and foremost, I hate performance evaluations because they're typically done annually. Nobody loves doing them. They're typically done very poorly. And the goals that you laid out in October the previous year are never looked at until October the following year when people are prepping for end-of-year reviews. So I prefer following a framework that actually does reviews on a quarterly basis, because you're actively having one-on-ones regularly.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. But if they follow the framework regularly, having one-on-ones, also having skip-level meetings, which we talk about, the leaders meeting with their direct reports, employees, because otherwise, how do we learn how to coach?
That's right.
The leaders that are reporting to us. Breaking bread, which is just a very casual, non-production KPI, just what we used to call water cooler chit-chat, like making a very casual or a very specific event out of a breaking bread, but making that event itself very casual and laid back, more on the personal. And then the stay interviews. Stay interview recommend twice a year, every 6 months, based upon their anniversary date. Not doing all stay interviews at the same day, because if you have a lot of direct reports, that becomes a very difficult day, and you start falling asleep at the wheel when you're doing multiple stay interviews.
Manage that energy during the day. That is for sure. Yeah.
And then because the reason that I believe so strongly, when you get to question 3 is like, why do you stay? And they will tell you. Question 4 is, when was the last time you thought about leaving, and what prompted that? That's a tough question for most people to. The first time you hear that question and you see the face, if you've not prepped your teams on what a stay interview looks like, that's a doozy of a question.
Well, it is, and got me thinking here. We're kind of going in a different direction, but I like it, because I think for leaders this is very applicable. I would have to imagine that the honesty that you get in that answer is going to be in direct correlation to the relationship and trust that you have in your current leader who's asking you the question.
Yes.
Because if you don't trust that person and they say to you, so, Clegg, tell me, when's the last time you thought of leaving?
Yeah.
Tick, 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 as you're looking at the clock. I'm not answering that. You're not going to get that out of me. I never want to leave. I want to stay here forever, because I don't trust what you're going to do with that information.
Yeah. Oh, no. So most look at it as how it's difficult to respond to that, because I'm afraid of what you're going to do with that information.
Are you going to weaponize it?
When in reality, if the leaders are doing it appropriately and the directive has come down from on high to say, we're doing stay interviews and this is why, and we set it up with the entire organization of what stay interviews are and why we're having them and why they're so important. And it's actually a trust building mechanism as well, because the first time that question is asked, and then the problems and the challenges that you've learned inside of that stay interview, it's only 5 questions. You can mix it up a little bit once you've gotten good at doing stay interviews and add some other things. But
once people are more comfortable with this, because the first time is going to be a little like, whoa, where's this coming from? Are you asking everybody this?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And when that comfort level happens, now you're starting to enter that space that we would call psychological safety, when people are not fearful of speaking up or fearful of making mistakes, and without a fear of retribution for those mistakes that you make.
Yes.
And that's why I say that stay interviews are critically. I've learned of debilitating diseases. I've learned of addictions. I've learned of financial challenges, marital issues. Like, all of these are not things that we necessarily want to know about intimately, but it's not about the what. It's about what are you doing with that information? How are you making that employee's life better when they come to work? Because everybody is bringing their baggage to work now. That used to be deemed unprofessional when I started in the workforce. You didn't bring that baggage in.
It's muscle through.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's not the case today. And we do know that the younger generations expect to have that trusted, confidant, quote unquote, friend at work. And we need to have our leaders be in a position to understand that. So with all that being said, I know we went a little bit of a different direction there, but
what was getting me that was interesting. We talk about how this information won't be used against me, and what I've seen in racing that I loved is that they were trying to, the best teams were trying to build cultures that were blameless.
Yes.
Now, and I want to be, I'm saying that very specifically, right? It's not being blameless. Like there's no one to blame for things. It's an environment and a culture where people blame less.
Yes.
And they recognize that mistakes are data points. Yes. If somebody will raise the hand and just say, hey, here's what happened. Here's why it happened. I needed help doing X, Y, and Z. These are data points, not finger pointing. Like Clegg again, Clegg.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
So that's when that's where if leaders can create these cultures through open conversation, leading it themselves to say, hey, data points.
So
data
good.
points. I'm not judging you. It's a data point.
It is a measurement, and we have to start measuring people's behaviors, and we do, because, like, I'll say it again: stop hiring for skills only to fire on behaviors. How many times in organizations do we see that happening? It's constant.
That's right.
If we can move away from that and we can start having these conversations with people, and I get the question, I got it today. I was like, Clegg, what if this program, you can't change the behaviors? I said, that's simple. You change the behaviors or you change the faces. Really, truly. Like, that might sound harsh.
How did that land? I'm just curious. Because it's probably like, oh.
No, it's the, oh yeah, I get that. I understand that. But we don't, look, here's the reality of accountability. Accountability is like that 4-letter word. It's like the word discipline. Accountability has got a bad rap. But accountability is only as good as the ability to reinforce it up against something, meaning, i.e., a standard. People are not held accountable because, well, there's a lot of reasons why people aren't held accountable. That nice versus kind, as we've talked about in previous weeks, being nice to save your feelings and your comfort and their feelings.
Or people have just had really bad experiences in receiving or giving feedback for accountability, and they just continue to be really bad at it. So they'll either try to avoid it or they'll keep having bad conversations.
And that's typically what happens, is it's more of an avoidance.
Yes.
So, and people want feedback. Even if it's not good feedback, people
that's right.
want to know where they stand.
I think I would add objective feedback in there.
Yes.
Is important, because I can give you feedback, but if it's not objective or it's subjective, right? But that's where conversation happens. This is what I'm seeing. This is where leaders asking better questions, right? Asking better questions, and questions that don't start with why.
It goes back to that gap that we're talking about, because if we're not having those conversations in between these performance reviews and these accountabilities and all of the things that go on to create the best outcomes, we're missing the boat. And when we don't have a psychologically safe environment where people can raise questions, you're not going to get innovation.
Never.
You're just not.
No. But again, that will become a behavior that we'll learn, that this is not a place where you can share your ideas. So you're either going to get people, and here's the worst part: you're going to get the people who might submit to that and say, okay, it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
So you keep in these like B, C players potentially, but then your A's are like, the heck with this. I want to be in a place where I'm actually contributing.
Yes.
And they leave and they're out the door.
Yes. So good. Stay interviews.
Stay with us.
Back. We're gonna lock in on the gap and how people are showing up.
12 years strong, Joe Vagnone is still delivering the conversations that count. More Local Biz Now after the break, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, we are kicking off the week of the 4th with some pretty seasonable heat. Temperatures up around 90, just a low chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm for our Monday. Get ready, we are going to build up some big-time, even dangerous heat by the middle of the week. Temperatures soar up to around 100, maybe some low 100s. And you factor in the humidity, it'll be hotter feeling than that. Stay safe, stay cool. That's your forecast for the surf, pickleball, and kitchen. I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. In Huntersville, head to Birkdale Village on July 4th for patriotic fun, family activities, entertainment, and community festivities throughout the day. It's the perfect way to celebrate before heading out for an evening of fireworks. In Davidson, one of the area's favorite traditions returns with the annual Patriotic Stroll. Decorate your bikes, wagons, and strollers and join neighbors and friends as downtown Davidson fills with American spirit. Then stick around for a concert on the green on the Village Green, featuring Buffett and Beyond, a Jimmy Buffett tribute band providing the soundtrack for your Independence Day celebration. Mooresville kicks things off a day early on July 3rd with the Field of Flags Summer Celebration at the Lowe's YMCA. Enjoy live music, food trucks, family activities, and hundreds of American flags honoring those who have served our country before one of the region's largest fireworks displays lights up the night sky. And for those spending the holiday on Lake Norman, popular viewing spots like Cocktail Cove offer spectacular views of fireworks reflecting across the water. In Troutman, the annual Independence Day Parade brings classic small-town Americana to life on July 4th. Expect classic cars, local organizations, marching groups, and plenty of patriotic pride as the community comes together to celebrate. And in Statesville, the annual fireworks celebration returns on July 3rd beginning at 9:30 p.m. Families can enjoy the show from several viewing locations, including Signal Hill Mall, the former Bi-Lo parking lot, Statesville Park and Soccer Complex, and the King of the Sea parking lot. Whether you're watching fireworks, attending a parade, strolling through downtown, or celebrating with family and friends, Lake Norman is the perfect place to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Happy Independence Day from all of us at WSIC. For more local events and community happenings, visit liveworkplaylkn.com. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
Hi. This is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
12 years of conversations, thousands of insights, and one truth: your business matters. This is Local Biz Now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
And back with us on Local Biz Now is Michael Clegg of Q Works, a dynamic leader, trusted voice in leadership and career growth, and one of the special hosts we hand chose for the insight and energy he brings. I wonder, do you hire for skill and fire for behavior? Is your team or family members hiding the truth from you? Are you biased when talking and hiring staff? Stick with Michael Clegg and Q Works. Their leadership experience is top in the industry. And I can assure you, supported by Local Biz Now and WSIC, we know the best. And today, that's our very own Q Works founder, Michael Clegg. Michael, my friend, take it from here, buddy.
Thank you, Joe. We are back. I'm Michael Clegg, also known as Clegg.
Also known as Clegg.
And I'm with Michael Mooney.
How are you guys? Hello.
We talked about something at break, and I want to give you a chance to expand on that. And you said something that was a hot button for me, the meeting after the meeting. So,
well, yeah, I could see it in your face because we're talking about in the last segment around this idea of accountability conversations and how oftentimes some leaders will, based on their previous experience, based on their comfort level, whatever it might be, either like avoid those conversations or have horrible conversations.
Mostly avoid, in my experience.
Avoidance because we like to avoid pain. That's just sort of part of the human condition. However, what that often leads to, and I'm sure leaders out there who are listening or watching might be able to relate to this because they've either participated, heard about it, or been victim set of, which is the meeting after the meeting, that dreaded moment where you wrap up a meeting as a leader and everyone's giving you the bobblehead, we're good to go, and man, you leave and then a few of them get together and then there's the meeting after the meeting. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe it's only happened in places I've worked at, but
no.
I've never heard of anything good coming out of the meeting after the meeting.
No, it's never I just was held accountable to something that I wasn't doing. What a great day it is.
That's fantastic. Right? Can you believe you got honest with me and giving me that kind of feedback? What a jerk.
I'm so thankful for that. I have such gratitude. No, it's not that at all. In fact, the opposite is happening. And just today, I was sharing with Mike that earlier today, I was having a conversation with a leader who I had pushed to have the conversation, and then I get the call back after the conversation, and he says, well, that didn't go the way that I expected it to. Okay, well, let's talk about it, and dug in a little bit, but it wasn't a bad meeting. It was just setting expectations, but it created clarity. And so what I said to him was, how you respond to this is everything.
Right.
And give it 24 hours and then follow back up again with just a brief recap of the value and how you see things and where things are moving forward. And that closes that uncertainty loop because it gives the other person the opportunity to share with them what they heard.
And respond, not react.
That's
right. Sometimes in those meetings where people are getting feedback, it becomes a more reactive type conversation and emotional, and all of those things that lead people to kind of knee jerk what it is they come back with. And unfortunately, in business, whether it's racing or Main Street, we have one thing that is usually always against us, and it's more than money and it's more than resource. It's time. Time. So how are we best using our time to have conversations like this so we understand how we're communicating with each other, that we're going to be most effective and efficient with our time? That's when you think about communications and racing between a crew chief and the driver during the race. Right? They can't sit face to face and talk to each other. They are talking through microphones like you and I are right now, and they rely solely on a shared intention, which is to win. They are absolutely aligned on what the mission and the goal is in that race. Secondly, they recognize the power of the tone of voice and how that will drive a mood, a tone, right? An emotional reaction. Because there are times, I've seen plenty of times where the crew chief is giving feedback. And I can remember one time, I can't tell you the driver's name, but it was a phenomenal exchange where the crew chief was trying to get the driver to be more aggressive on the track. All right. And there's a phrase for that in the racing. Usually you'll hear them say, you got to get up on the wheel. And this crew chief said to the driver who was watching him for
get up on the wheel,
and said, literally, he said, we're going to need you to pick it up a little bit and get up on that wheel. And the driver came back, and he said it just like that. Driver came back, I mean, 4-letter words, all the whole nine, because they're in the moment. They're literally in the moment doing what they feel is the best they can. And then he said, I'm out here. I'm up on the wheel. I can see that. And the crew chief just said over the radio as well, that might be what it looks like from where you are, but what I see on the scoreboard right now in our lap times, that ain't what I'm seeing.
Ouch. Well, so what you said, what started this was the whole, what I call system 1 versus system 2, reaction versus responding. We all have an opportunity to, first off, system 1 thinking is that fight or flight mechanism. So when your driver in that scenario heard get up on that wheel,
what do you think I'm doing out here?
That's right. That was a system 1 reaction.
Absolutely.
That was an emotional. And by the way, when that happens, the blood leaves our brain, goes into the muscles for fight or flight mechanism.
That's right.
Right. So that does happen.
So you're saying instantly we're dumbed down.
We are. We cannot logically think like that. I'm for those neuroscientists out there, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a place that we have to get to, which is more of a logical thinking part of our brain, not the emotional part of our brain.
So
some people call it the lizard brain or the chimp brain.
I call it the vagnome brain myself, quite honestly. You didn't see that coming, did you?
I did not. That was good.
I love you, Joe.
That was good. But we have to get to that system too.
That's right. Yeah.
Respond. And so think about that when we talk about the gap, right? And I know we're coming up on the end, which is so hard to believe that we're coming up on the end of the show today. But that system 2, that responsive, logical part of our brain that really can allow us to take in the feedback that we've just heard. Now we're not emotional and be able to respond appropriately. That's the gap that people live in. Because when people get information that they don't like to hear, there's a couple things that they either do. One, they react negatively immediately because there's very rare do we, like to the goofy point I made earlier about getting tough feedback and then going and saying to my friends how wonderful that awful feedback was. awful because I didn't like what it said. But if I'm real with myself, it was great, constructive, objective feedback to your point. Mm-hmm. But it's in that gap of system 1 and system 2. How long does it take us to get to that system 2 when that's what is, because if you're system 1 to me, that driver, I mean, what was the natural response back from the crew chief? Was likely a system 1 reaction. It was like, sorry, bud, but
but he came back with
scoreboard.
This is what the data's telling me.
Yeah,
and this is what I know you're capable of doing. So it was a bit of coaching. It was a bit of that tough love. Look, I'll share a story with you, man, where that happened to me, and you talk about, how quickly the leader will step in after a meeting that didn't go well and recognize their role in that, because I think oftentimes leaders don't always own their part.
Well, in fact, the conversation I had today, that leader said he didn't take this well. My question back was, how did you deliver it?
Correct.
He said, well, it's recorded. I will share that with you.
Perfect. So I'll tell you about a time when I was at Roush Fenway, and I'm having a conversation with Jack Roush, our team owner, Hall of Fame, Jack Roush. Immense respect for this man. One of the greatest joys of my life is to say I had the opportunity to work with him. Yeah. And I was bringing forth a new sponsorship strategy that I wanted to get his take on, and I was waiting to get into his office. He got off a conference call. I walked in. I could tell by the body language, right? I might not be a smart man, but I can pick up on a room. But at the same time, I needed to share this with him and have time. And I sat down. He just looked through at me, tearing page by page by page, threw it across the table at me, and said, "This is garbage."
Ouch.
And I, in that moment, right, of system 1, system 2, in that place, I kind of defaulted to like freezing and fawning.
I was
just
say,
like,
a lot of people do freeze, or a lot of people bury their head.
I said, okay, Jack, and he wasn't giving me any feedback on it. This,
it's garbage.
Couple words, and here you go. Threw it across the desk. And I said, okay. I said, I'll come back a little later with something a little different. Now, I don't know what different was because I didn't get the feedback of what exactly it was. But to his credit, about a half hour later, I get a call to come back to his office. Now I'm like, oh my God, okay. Let me get the resume tuned up
from
here.
Bad to worse.
Yeah. And the words out of his mouth changed everything, Clegg. And I think this is a huge lesson for leaders, because if Jack Roush can do this, there's no excuse nobody else can. I walked in. He said, sit down. I said, okay. He goes, I'm going to apologize. He said, you would come in after a tough meeting back in Detroit with Ford, and you got the brunt of my frustration. I want to look at that again. I want to look at it with some better eyes, and I want to give you some feedback you can use.
Powerful.
Okay, so I literally went from the outhouse to the penthouse and somewhere in between, like, just kind of in that feeling of like, oh my God, but a shift. But what was the common denominator in that? Yeah. It was a leader willing to step in when they recognized that they could have played a different, better role in how that conversation went down. And I had, immense respect for him for doing it. He didn't have to. It's Jack Roush. It's his company.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he recognized the impact of it.
Yeah. No, and that's the power of authority and the power of experience. I hope that he has certainly had that experience before we recognized that he made some mistakes, and he was course correcting real time with you.
In real time. Yeah.
I've just learned that I've only got 30 seconds left for the month of June, where everything was leadership. And I just want to say thank you to Mr. Mike Mooney. Thank you to Julie. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Seth and Kayla back there keeping things going, for showing up week after week. We appreciate that.
And I want to thank you, Clegg, for the opportunity to come in and have some fun with you and share a little bit of the craziness going on in our heads here with the listeners. And Joe, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you.
See you guys next time. Thanks, guys.
Great radio doesn't end here. Catch the full episode and dive into our archives on the WSIC News app.
WSIC 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, Statesville, Lake Norman's home for Charlotte FC. WSIC. Local starts here.